Kumusta tayo ngayon? April 10 na tayo and it's Friday. Thanks God it's Friday. Bukas is Saturday. And welcome na welcome kayo po dito sa programa natin, ang Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. Mga Filipinos dito sa Malaysia, mga overseas Filipinos sa iba-ibang parte ng mundo, and of course, ang mga kaibigan, kapatid, and kaibigan natin dyan po mismo sa bayan natin, which we call the Philippines. And of course, huwag natin kalimutan din to greet ang mga Malaysian friends natin at mga iba-iba pang nasyonalidad who is watching itong programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. Today, we are going to touch some issues po, no? International and of course, ang sitwasyon po din dito sa Malaysia at saka dyan po sa Pilipinas. Narinig natin po na mayroon na tayong nakumpisa na ang US at saka Iran ang 2-week ceasefire nila. But unfortunately po, may konting misunderstanding, and dahil dyan po sa misunderstanding, may bombing sa Lebanon ang Israel. And dahil dyan po, delikado ang ceasefire. And later on, we also be touching, mayroon tayo dito mga filed video clips, no? Tungkol yon mga balita narinig natin sa Pilipinas na may plan na kudeta daw dyan sa House of Representatives, wherein they want to, sabihin natin, replace ang Speaker of the House, si Speaker Faustino D. III, and will be replaced by former President ng Pilipinas, si Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. And malalaman natin mamaya kung totoo ba ito o hindi. And of course, mayroon din tayo dito mga video clips that I'm going to share with you so that you will understand or you will know anong latest updates tungkol sa impeachment of Inday Sara Duterte and the hearing scheduled on April 14 po. That will be next week. No? That will be next week. I think it will fall on Thursday. And let's see what will happen doon po. So, mayroon interview itong ANC, si Carmina, ang broadcaster dyan po, lady broadcaster, and she interviewed to get comments coming from Representative of Congressman Joel Chua regarding ang mga developments, updates tungkol sa impeachment of Inday Sara Duterte. Lahat ng ito po dito sa programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. Okay, to start with, let me share with you a video clip. Punta muna tayo po sa international news natin. And let me remind you about the 2-week ceasefire between the US and Iran. And Iran po ang announcement. I'm going to share with you po itong video clip about the 2-week ceasefire. Nandito, and let's watch and listen to this video clip. Hold on po, nandito po. Don't worry, nandito po ang video clip that I prepared para sa inyong lahat. Alright. Welcome kayo po dito sa programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. Nandito na. Please welcome ang first video clip natin.
Mahigit isang oras bago matapos ang deadline na ibinigay ni US President Donald Trump, nagkasundo ang Estados Unidos at Iran sa isang 2-week ceasefire. Ang tigil putukan ay naging posible sa pangunguna ni Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif na tumatayong mediator sa pagitan ng dalawang bansa. Sa kaniyang post sa X, sinabi ni Sharif na pumayag ang parehong panig sa agarang ceasefire at nakatakdang humarap para sa isang pag-uusap sa Biyernes, April 10. Kinumpirma ni US President Trump ang pag-uusap at sinabing double-sided ang ceasefire kaya itipigil ng Amerika ang anumang pag-atake laban sa Iran.
Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield. A capital V military victory. By any measure, Epic Fury decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat ineffective for years to come.
Ayon kay U.S. Department of War Secretary Pete Hegseth, naging epektibo ang operasyon ng U.S. at nawasak ang malaking bahagi ng military capability ng Iran. Dagdag pa nito, tinanggap ng Iran ang tigil putukan dahil sa matinding pressure mula sa pag-atake ng U.S.
cripple Iran's entire economy in minutes. But he chose mercy. He spared those targets because Iran accepted the ceasefire under overwhelming pressure.
Binigyan din naman ng US military na handa silang anumang oras ay pagpatuloy ang operasyon sakaling hindi tumupad ang kabilang panig sa kasunduan.
Ceasefire's a pause, and the joint force remains ready if ordered or called upon to resume combat operations.
Sa panig naman ng Iran, sinabi ni Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi na handa ang Iran na ihinto ang anumang opensiba kung titigil din ang pag-atake laban sa kanila. Binigyan din ito na ang pagpayag ng Iran sa negosasyon ay kasunod ang pagtanggap ng US sa 10-point proposal ng Iran. Kabilang dito ang pag-alis ng sanctions, pagkilala sa karapatan ng Iran sa uranium enrichment at pagkontrol sa Strait of Hormuz. Sa kabila ng pahayag ni Trump na workable ang proposal ng Iran, nanindigan ang Amerika na hindi maaaring magkaroon ng kapasidad ang Iran na makabuo ng nuclear weapon.
Always been non-negotiable that they won't have nuclear capabilities. And so right now it's buried. We're watching it. We know exactly what they have. And they know that. And they will either give it to us, which the president has laid out. They'll give it to us voluntarily. We'll get it. We'll take it. We'll take it out. Or if we have to do something else ourselves, like we did in Midnight Hammer or something like that, we reserve that opportunity. But what's clear, what the new Iranian regime knows, is they'll never have a nuclear weapon or the capability to get a path to one.
Aminado naman ang Amerika na bagamat nagdeklara na ng tigil putukan ang dalawang panig ay nananatiling walang garantiya ng ganap na kapayapaan. Sa panig ng Estados Unidos, umaasa umano sila na magiging tapat ang Iran sa kasunduan dahil kung hindi ay nakahanda ang Amerika na tapusin ang kanilang nasimulan.
If the Iranians are willing, in good faith, to work with us, I think we can make an agreement. If they're going to lie, if they're going to cheat, if they're trying to prevent even the fragile truce that we've set up from taking place, then they're not going to be happy.
Jack Del Campo, kumahataw sa balita ngayon.
Yun po ang 2 weeks temporary ceasefire ng US and Iran po. May 10 points condition explain na yun po. And let's see po if this will be a reality. No? In the event mag-fail itong temporary ceasefire, then tuloy, sabi ng Amerika, tuloy sila ang bombardment dyan po sa Iran. Malaking threat yun po. But the temporary ceasefire po is very fragile. Fragile talaga ito po. Most especially what happened, yun atake ng Israel sa Lebanon po. No? Will it affect ang ceasefire or hindi? And let's hope that it will not be affecting the ongoing ceasefire po which took effect today po, April 10 po. So what happened talaga po sa Lebanon and Israel? Nandito po. Nandito ang video clip that I want to share with you po para at least you will have the idea. No? Idea. Ganit ang Iran ngayon po dahil nag-atake ang Israel sa Lebanon. And nandito ang speech the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Iran, si Prime Minister Araghchi. And let's watch and listen to the statement or message made by the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Nandito po ang mensahe, ang speech, brief speech ng Prime Minister po. Let's watch and listen to this. Hold on.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your presence here. I wish to make a brief statement on the ongoing situation in the region and the position of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Security Council has been called upon to convene regarding the situation in Lebanon. As a matter of fact, the situation in Lebanon and the region is unprecedentedly alarming. Let me be frank, the region is on the brink of a full-scale catastrophe. If unchecked, the world will face face catastrophic consequences unlike anything before. Israel has been mass murdering civilians in Gaza, and now it seems to be replicating the same in Lebanon by waging a war of aggression against the country. Israel, through its genocidal campaign, has already turned Gaza into the hell of the earth, as a senior United Nations official described. Over 42,000 innocent Palestinians were murdered, 93,000 wounded, and critical infrastructure decimated. Now Israel is repeating its crimes in Lebanon. In just 1 week, Israel has unleashed brutal attacks on Lebanese cities, killing hundreds of innocent people, including women and children. Israel, as a rogue, aggressive regime, has crossed all red lines. For this terrorist regime, international law, human rights, and peace mean nothing. Israel's ultimate sinister intention is to set the whole region into fire. Israel's invasion of Lebanon is unlawful and criminal for sure. It is an act of aggression. The Charter of the United Nations is blatantly violated. The Security Council must intervene to restore peace and security. The Islamic Republic of Iran has repeatedly warned of the consequences of Israel's malicious acts in the region. The international community cannot ignore the role of the United States and its allies in enabling Israel's atrocities. Unwavering support from the US and certain Western states has emboldened Israel to commit crimes with impunity. This impunity, coupled with the Security Council inaction, has pushed the region toward disaster. The Israeli leaders must understand that their crimes will not go unpunished. The path to re-escalation is clear. Israel must immediately stop its attacks on Gaza and Lebanon. Without the ceasefire in Gaza, there would be no guarantee of peace in the region. The Security Council must act now to halt Israel's war and enforce an immediate ceasefire, and by that, to save innocent lives. If not, the region risks full-scale conflict, and history will hold Israel's enablers, especially the United States, responsible. Iran stands firmly with the government and the people of Lebanon. Iran has already shown tremendous patience and restraint for the sake of regional peace and stability. Iran firmly upholds its inherent right to defend its vital interests. And finally, Iran will not remain indifferent in case of a full-scale war in Lebanon. We stand with the people of Lebanon with all means. Thank you very much.
Okay, yun po, narinig natin ang stern warning made by the Islamic Republic of Iran po. Ang Prime Minister nila, si Araghchi po. No? Grabe ang warning ng sabihin natin itong sabihin natin ng Iran po sa Israel, and it might affect ang sabihin natin ongoing 2-week ceasefire between the US and Iran. Now, let me share with you another video clip po, no? And the US is saying medyo may misunderstanding po regarding ang ceasefire conditions. Let's watch and listen to this video clip po, no? Let's watch and listen to this video clip. Nandito. And ang mga scene ng bombing sa Lebanon din po. Dito po lahat sa video natin, brief video natin that I'm going to share with you ngayon po. Nandito. Let's watch and listen to this. Alright? Sandali. Okay. Alright. Nandito po.
I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran, and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states.
Bombardment is being blamed for killing at least 182 people. Nearly 900 others were wounded. Overnight, more and more countries, as well as the United Nations, are condemning Israel for the strikes. The French President Emmanuel Macron called the strikes indiscriminate and said they, quote, pose a direct threat to the sustainability of the ceasefire, end quote. And check out this video. That's a solitary person wearing a blue shirt right in the middle of your screen, searching through the rubble of damaged buildings and crushed cars, dwarfed by complete destruction. One man spoke about why he stayed.
I'm here in Beirut by choice, and I will remain living in Beirut because that was a choice for my son to learn everything about this multicultural country, despite all what we are living through.
This is the aftermath of an enormous Israeli military strike here in Beirut. This is one of the more than 100 targets, according to the Israeli military, that they believe to be Hezbollah targets struck today. But you can see behind me, these appear to be residential buildings, apartments. This is a very busy area full of shops and a busy roadway. There would have been many people at this site and around the area at the time of the blast. And now emergency services are working to dig through the rubble for victims.
Alright, yun po, nakita natin po a portion of the video clip po, no? Yun, what happened sa Lebanon when Israel bomb, no? Bomb ang lugar nila po, and that might affect ang ceasefire, 2-week ceasefire po. I hope it will not be affected. So yun ang latest natin na tungkol sa conflict dyan po sa Middle East. So sa ngayon, let's go to another topic. Ang topic natin ngayon po is tungkol naman po sa flood control projects, which I am reminding ang mga Filipinos po, let us not forget itong flood control scam or scandal dyan po sa Pilipinas, because trillions of pesos nakuha po ang mga irresponsible, greedy politicians po. Hindi naman lahat po, no? And everybody, it was officially announced that may mga pangalan ng mga senador, ng mga congressmen, ng mga top government officials po, and contractors natin dyan po sa Pilipinas involved dito po sa flood control projects po. And dahil dyan po sa flood control projects, galit na galit ang mga Filipinos po, no? To the extent na nawala na silang ang trust ng mga Pilipino sa gobyerno, deflated na po. Nagbaba na talaga po. So, let's watch and listen to another video clip that I'm going to share with you po, wherein itong report po is saying that the Deputy Secretary ng House of Representatives, Secretary General ng House of Representatives, sino ba yan? Si Gabunada, involved daw ito po sa corruption activities. So let's watch and listen to this report po, no? So at this, so you will have an idea of what is really going on dyan po sa Pilipinas when it comes to the flood control project. When it comes to the flood control projects. Nandito po, let's watch and listen to this. Hold on. Ang ombudsman po. And nandito, let's watch and listen to this.
Some person of interest, si Deputy Secretary General Sophonius Gabunada Jr. sa isinasagawang fact-finding ng Ombudsman para sa posibleng kaso ng plunder laban kay dating House Speaker Martin Romualdez at dating Senate President Francis Escudero, kaugnay naman ng Malyang Flood Control Project. Ayon sa Ombudsman, malalim daw ang alam ni Gabunada tungkol sa budget na bilyong-bilyong piso ang umuling napunta sa mga flood control project.
Alam niya kung gaano ka-importante itong tao na ito. Malalim po ang alam ni Gabunada.
Lumutang na rin dati ang pangalan ni Gabunada sa isinagawang investigasyon ng Senado sa flood control project.
I just would like to make a motion dahil merong official statement si Governor Ubahib ng Davao del Norte alleging a certain Deputy Secretary General ng House of Representatives Ponyong Gabunada is very much into corruption. Yung details, napakaraming dinitalye niya. I would like to move for the invitation of this Deputy Secgen Ponyong Gabunada, allegedly the bagman of the Speaker of the House.
Kaya ganun na lamang ang pagkadismaya ni Ombudsman Jesus Crispin Remulla nang hindi tanggapin kahapon ng House Secretary General ang subpoena para sa mga Statement of Assets, Liabilities and Net Worth o SALIN ni Gabunada. Dahilan kaya nagbanta si Remulla na ipakontem si Secretary General Chedoy Garafil. Maliwanag ni Garafil tuwing Martes at Miyerkules lamang daw ang on-site work sa Kamara dahil sa ipinatutupad na work-from-home arrangement dahil sa krisis sa langis. Malaki raw ang paggalang niya sa Office of the Ombudsman at wala raw silang intensyong magpakita ng kawalang galang o umiwas sa pagtugon. Ngayong araw, tinanggap na ng House Secretary General ang subpoena ng Ombudsman. Sa subpoena ng Ombudsman sa Secretary General, hinihingi ni Remulla ang certified true copies ng lahat ng salin ni Gabunada na magsimula siya sa Kamara hanggang sa kasalukuyan para malaman kung may kaduda-dudang yaman ito. Ayon sa Ombudsman, may ilan pang personalidad silang iniimbestigahan na may kaugnayan sa pagbuo ng budget na posibleng pinanggalingan ng mga pondo para sa mga maanumalyang flood control project.
Alright, yun po, narinig natin po, no? Ang updates tungkol dyan po sa flood control projects. More sa mga flood control projects sa korte po, dyan sa Pilipinas po. And I have a video clip here wherein it shows na itong si may-ari ng isang owner ng construction license po, no? She leased it to si engineer, Engineer Rice Hernandez ba yun? No? And dyan na po ang mga ghost projects na nangyari. And I'm referring to Sally Santos. Now, sa korte po, nandito ang video clip wherein she pin talaga po si former engineer dyan po sa Bulacan, si Engineer Bryce Hernandez. Nandito ang video clip and let's watch and listen to this po. At least you will have a very clear idea po of what is going on dyan po sa problema natin sa flood control projects. Flood control projects. Let's watch this report po from 24 Oras po. Hold on.
Sa pagdinig ng kasong malversation kaugnay ng Ghost Flood Control Project sa Pandi, Bulacan, laban kina dating Senador Bong Revilla at anim na dating opisyal ng DPWH Bulacan, sumalang si Sally Santos. Si Santos ang may-ari ng Sims Construction Trading na nagsabing pinagamit niya ang kanyang lisensya ng kanyang kumpanya sa mga engineer ng Department of Public Works and Highways, kaya ito nagamit sa mga ghost projects. Sa mga akusado, si Bryce Hernandez ang kanyang idiniin. Ayon kay Santos, wala raw siyang ibang kausap maliban kay Hernandez na Assistant District Engineer noon ng DPWH Bulacan 1st District. Nasa 1.7 billion pesos daw ang perang na-deliver niya kay Hernandez mula 2024 hanggang 2025. Nabawas na dito ang kabuang 86 million pesos na royalty fee o parte ni Santos dahil pinahiram niya kay Hernandez ang lisensya ng kanyang construction company. Ito'y mula sa pondong inilaan para sa 42 flood control projects sa Bulacan. Isa na rito ang di umano'y 92 million ghost flood control project sa Pandi. Sabi pa ni Santos, nag-withdraw siya na naabot sa 400 million pesos at personal na dineliver ito sa opisina ni Hernandez sa DPWH Bulacan. Staff daw ni Hernandez at minsan ang security guard pa ang tumutulong sa kanyang magbuhat ng mga kartong puno ng pera. Tumangging magbigay ng pahayag ang abogado ni Hernandez. Sa hawak na listahan ni Santos, nakalista rin ang mga initial ng ilang mambabatas bilang proponent o nag-insert ng proyekto sa national budget, kabilang ang isang SBR. Para sa kampo ni Revilla, malinaw sa mga testimonya ng mga testigo na walang partisipasyon ang dating senador.
Expectedly, alam naman namin na walang link to former Senator Bong.
Pero may agam-agam ang mga magistrado ng Sandigan Bayan 3rd Division sa kredibilidad ni Santos dahil tanging si Hernandez lang ang itinuturo niya. Ito'y kahit na 157 DPWH contracts ang nakuha niya mula noong 2021. Giit ni Santos, wala siyang pinagtatakpan. Matagal sumagot si Santos sa bawat tanong kung sino pa ang nanghiram ng kanyang lisensya. Pero nagbanggit siya ng ilan kabilang ang isang di umano'y miyembro ng Bids and Awards Committee ng DPWH. Binigyan ng DOJ ng immunity si Santos kaya hindi siya makakasuhan at ngayon nasa Witness Protection Program. Pero sa kabila nito, punto ng mga magistrado, 20 million pesos lang ang ibinalik niyang pera sa gobyerno at iligal ang ginawa niyang pagpapahiram ng lisensya. Bakit Pulido Nakatuto, 24 oras.
Yan ba, ang latest natin tungkol sa flood control projects. Grabe pa, no? If you think about ang mga kahon, ng mga maleta, puno ng pera po, nag-deliver. Something like sa mga news na rinig natin, sa mga investigation, there are something like 805 billion pesos po, no, na deliver sa mga politicians natin po, sa mga government officials natin, and ngayon, ang mga drivers natin, na problema talaga po, ang income nila po, nabawas dahil po mahal ang langis dyan po sa Pilipinas. Kung nakuha lang natin, kung makukuha lang natin, lahat yung mga maleta po, no, siguro po itong problema natin ng mga drivers, mga sa frontliners natin dyan po sa transport sector natin dahil sa conflict sa Middle East, siguro po maiwas-iwas ang mga sabihin natin difficulties ng mga affected jeepney drivers, ang mga commuters po, mga pedestrians, mga pasahero po, no? At saka ang mga tao na in general, no? Kasi ngayon dahil sa Middle East the conflict, lahat ang mga bilihan po na tumaas na ang presyo, ha? Grabe. And worst thing po, hanggang ngayon po nakikita natin sa mga reports po, wala pa maski isang big fish na sa kulungan po, ha? Lahat na lang po mga small fish po. Kagaya itong sila Saldi at sila Bryce Hernandez, no? And ano pa sila, protektado pa sila ngayon po, no? Protektado pa sila ngayon. So, ito na po. That's why ang mga tao po galit na po. Alright. So, yon ang updates natin tungkol sa flood control projects. The other issue, my last issue that I'm going to touch today, it's a Friday, April 10, thanks God it's Friday, bukas Saturday na po, no? Is ang interview ng ANC, si Carmina, kay Representative of Congressman Joel Chua regarding, ito pa rin po, regarding sa impeachment case of Inday Sara Duterte po. Maganda mga issues po, si Representative Joel Chua gave when he answered ang mga questions ni Carmina during the interview. And let me share with you po ang mga video clips that I have prepared para sa ating lahat po ngayon hapon on a Friday afternoon. Alright? Nandito po. Let's watch and listen to this. And kayo na bahala. Kayo na bahala to make your own opinion, your comments, your decision po, whether tama ba ito si Representative Joel Chua, ang mga sagot niya po kay Carmina. Kay Carmina po. So, to start with po, nandito ang video clip that I will be sharing with you. Nandito na po. Saan na yun? 246. Hanap tayo ang 246. Nandito po. Let's watch and listen to this video clip. Alright. Nandito na po.
Yung mismo, Congressman, na mangyayari pagdating po ng April 14.
So April 14, of course, we expect the 5 resource person or the witnesses that we invited to appear
Isa na po dito si Attorney Pantonal, yung Notary Public. Of course, si Attorney Poa. We invited Attorney Poa, si Attorney Gloria Camora ng COA, si Marivic Paralihan ng Archive, at of course, si Ramil Madriaga. I understand that the petition for Ramil Madriaga that was filed before the court was already granted. So we expect him to appear before the Committee on Justice on April 14.
Bakit po importante na makita or makausap ninyo itong mga binanggit niyo pong mga pangalan? Anong inaasahan ninyo na ibubunyag nila, na ilalathala nila, no? Isasabihin nila para mas makabuo kayo ng desisyon, Congressman?
Just like what I said, this is just a preliminary investigation. Wala tayong inaasahan na sa kanila, kung hindi siguro patutuhanan yung mga or identify yung mga signature nila. Mga preliminary questions lang, mga clarificatory questions lang. Dahil yung talagang pagbubunyag, yung talagang pag-explain in detail, pag-cross-examine sa mga kanilang sinabi, mangyayari lamang po yan sa trial proper, which is in the Senate.
At bakit importante itong step na ito, itong hakbang na ito sa proseso, Congressman, kung tatanungin niyo lang pala kung totoo ito o hindi. But why is it important? Kasi nga, katulad nung sinabi niyo kanina, this is the first time that we're seeing it kasi nakasanayan yung fast track, hindi ba? But this is the first time that we're seeing this part of the process. Go ahead, Congressman.
Yes, parang ganito po yan, Carmina. I will make it simple, no? Kami parang piskal. We will act as parang piskal. Sa preliminary investigation, siyempre, nandun yung mga witness, nandun yung mga complainants. So, siyempre, tatanungin mo sa witness, eto bang sinumpaan sa laysay na to? Ito ba, hindi ka pinwersa? Ito ba, pirma mo to? So, yung mga ganyan preliminary question. Kasi, baka mami eventually sabihin ng complainant, o halimbawa sabihin ni Madriaga, hindi ko pirma yan. Yung mga nakasaad dyan, hindi naman sa akin. So ano pang sa isa, para isama siya sa testigo.
Alright, yun po. Mayroon pa tayo another video clip that I'm going to share with you. And nandito po. Tuloy natin ang interview ni Carmina kay Representative Joel Chua. Nandito po. Let's watch and listen. Alright?
Ang makikita, yung cross-examination.
Yes. And that is the time where we will allow the defense team, yung mga abogado po ng Vice President, na mag-cross-examine sa mga sinumpaang o sa mga sasabihin ni Ramil Madriaga at ng mga iba pang mga witness.
There's also a part of the question before the court, Congressman, wherein the Vice President, is asking the Supreme Court to declare as void and unconstitutional your rules, Sections 7 and 8 of the Rules of Procedure in Impeachment Proceedings, which were adopted by the 20th Congress, as well as the guidelines issued by the House Committee on Justice. Pwede mo ba yun gawin na ng Korte Suprema bilang this is your sole jurisdiction, right? This is your sole mandate. Maaari bang sabihin ng Korte Suprema na mali yung mga rules ninyo?
I would say that is already judicial overreach pagka ginawa po nila yan. Diba? Dahil that is our rules. Ang kanya-kanyang parang sinasabi po ninyo sa amin na sabihin namin yung mga alituntunin ng Korte Suprema, sabihin din namin na void. So paano po yung ganun? Pwede po ba kami makialam din sa mga rules nila sa loob ng Korte Suprema? So I don't think that is allowed.
Right, yun po ang reaksyon ni Representative Joel Chua po. For me, let's wait until whatever decisions are to be made by the Supreme Court po. Whether the Supreme Court will be fair or not, optimistic din po si Congressman Chua that the Supreme Court will play a fair game dito po sa issue na ito po. Let's watch and listen isa pang video clip coming from ito si Representative Joel Chua po. Nandito.
Congressman
Hold on. Nandito po. Alright. Ito na. Okay.
Do you expect that the Supreme Court will practice restraint here when it comes to the questions laid before it by the Office of the Vice President?
Well, I expect the Supreme Court to be fair. And alam ko naman, sila yung last bastion natin, no? So, tayo naman, malakas ang kumpiyansa natin na ito hindi nila bibigyan ng timbang.
But on the part of the House of Representatives, naalala ko yung uli nating pag-uusap, ang sabi niyo po, hanggat walang TRO, tuloy lang. Does that remain the same?
Yes, of course. Tuloy-tuloy lang po kami. In fact, nakaset na po yung tatlong hearing, which is on April 14, yun po yung umpisa. So, every week po yan, starting next week, magkakaroon po tayo ng hearing.
So, abangan natin po. Every week yun, starting April 14, that will be on Thursday next week, na mayroon na silang hearing proper po. Dyan po sa Justice Committee ng House of Representatives tungkol sa impeachment ni Inday Sara Duterte po. So, more on the impeachment. Nandito po, another video clip coming from Joel or Representative Joel Chua po. Let's watch and listen to this also. Sandali po. Grabe grabe ang issue.
Itong House of Representatives talagang tinutuluyan itong si Vice President Sara Duterte. Hindi magpapatinag, hindi magpapapigil sa Korte Suprema. Ano po ang sagot niyo dito? Is this an act of defiance? Is this purely political? Do you really want her to go down that you will not even respect the process within the Supreme Court this time? Go ahead.
Why would we stuck on something which is our constitutional duty? Parang titigilan po namin yung aming constitutional duty na gawin ang dapat namin gawin. Hanggat wala naman pong TRO, wala pong korte na nagsasabi sa amin o Korte Suprema, sinasabi namin na tigilan ito, hindi po namin gagawin yun. Dahil kasi po, ito po yung aming trabaho.
And do you also think that this is, once again, another opportunity for the House of Representatives to, number one, practice its autonomy and it being a co-equal branch of government vis-a-vis the Supreme Court?
Yeah, separation of power.
At kung klaro ho sa inyo yan, bakit hindi ho klaro sa iba? Na yan talaga ang trabaho ninyo.
At tingin ko naman, klaro rin naman sa kanila. But of course, gagawin po nila lahat yung mga magagawa nila, no, para pahintuin. Ang tanong nga naman dito ay simple na. Right from the very beginning, sinasabi niya, wala naman siyang kasalanan. I think this is the right time, right opportunity for her to clear her name.
Alright, yun po. Yan. Okay, kung klaro sa kanila, bakit hindi klaro? O kung klaro sa inyo, bakit hindi klaro sa kanila? Yun lang po, no? So, for me, let's wait. Let the Supreme Court make the decision po, no? They were given 10 days yata yun, no? Kasi nag-file na ng petition si VP Sara at saka mga private lawyers po when it comes to this issue po, no? So, let's wait. Let's wait po. So, in the meantime, tuloy muna ang hearing proper ng House of Representatives. And karamihan ng mga Filipinos po, maski na ako mismo po, I believe, na the impeachment from the House of Representatives po, no, will be positive, no? Yun, getting 1/3 votes, kung pagdating na yan sa votation sa plenaryo, I think they will get it po, no? But the number will no longer be the same as how the number was registered during the first impeachment complaint kay Inday Sara Duterte last 2025 or last year po. They will get the 106. For me, they will get the 106 po. Kasi whether you like it or not, nakikita na natin ang mga congressmen supporting itong administrasyon natin ngayon po, no? Marami pa rin sila doon po, no? Marami pa rin. And let's see po what will happen. Let's see what. Now, do you agree? Sabi ni Representative Joel Chua na takot na po si Inday Sara Duterte po dyan po sa impeachment sa kanya po. Second impeachment. Let's watch and listen to the answer of Representative Joel Chua po on this very particular issue. Andito po.
Think it is a
Alright? And kayo na bahala po to make your own opinion.
final question, Congressman. Why do you think then that she chooses to put these questions before the court?
I think she is afraid. No? Natatakot na siya dahil sa mga mangyayari. Kasi kung wala ka namang kinakatakutan, why would you do such thing? So now, she is running to the Supreme Court to seek refuge.
And then, of course, we look at some surveys have come out. She's still on top as the front runner in the 2028 elections. Kayo ba hindi natatakot dahil sa ginagawa niyo ngayon na kapag siya ang nanalo, ay balikan po kayo?
Alam mo, Carmina, pag natakot tayo, di parang sinabi natin, tigilan na natin gawin yung ating trabaho. So, talagang part yan ng ating trabaho. Sabi nga nila ay occupational hazard lahat yan.
House Justice Committee Member Congressman Joel Chua there joining us this noon. Maraming salamat po, Congressman.
So yun po ang interview ni Carmina and kay Representative o Congressman Joel Chua po. So yun ang mga latest updates natin tungkol sa political issues dyan po sa Pilipinas. And of course, I will continue to monitor ang sitwasyon dyan po sa Pilipinas. And be it politic, be it economic, or security issues sa Pilipinas po, if importante yun po, I'll make sure that ang mga followers ko dito po sa Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico, will be properly be informed. Up to date kayo po when it comes to the issues sa Pilipinas. Maybe not all, yun mga malaking issues lang po. Kasi mahirap naman po lahat, no? Lahat news, I will give it to you po, no? So, ganito na lang. Kasi we are less than 1 hour lang itong programa natin. But I hope na whatever I am feeding you dito po sa programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico, you can see me dyan po sa Facebook, dyan po sa YouTube, at saka sa TikTok. Sana lang po, kung pwede, support itong programa ko po dito sa Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico, because this is intended for all of you. Be it Filipinos dito sa Malaysia, dito sa Sabah, mga overseas Filipino workers sa mga iba-ibang parte ng mundo, mga kapatid, kaibigan at kababayan natin dyan po sa Pilipinas. And of course, our friends Malaysians and other nationalities po who is dropping dito po sa programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. So in the meantime, siguro hanggang dito na lang ang programa natin for today, April 10, and let's hope and pray na itong 2-week ceasefire of America and Iran will be a permanent ceasefire na po. And dahan-dahan will be back to normal po, no? Will be back to normal. Kasi if it will prolong, kawawa talaga ang mga tao po sa mundo. Especially ang mga tao nasa third world country, kagaya ang Pilipinas po, no? Cagayaang, Pilipinas. So with this, si Nico Fabian, once again would like to say thank you very much for making me a part of your day today. Enjoy kayo po ang weekend natin tomorrow and on Sunday. And make the most of it. Make sure during our weekend, we'll be sharing time with our families po. No? Para at least okay and you will have a good rest po during the weekend. So, Malaysia, Sabah, the Philippines, God bless us all. Godspeed. Ingat tayo. Let's pray for not only peace in the Philippines, peace in Malaysia, but peace on earth. Malaysia, Sabah, the Philippines. God bless us all. I'll see you in my next episode. Bye. And you take care. I love you.